Started. This webinar is being recorded. Your phone line is muted, and please use the Q&A box for questions. Hello and welcome again. My name is Leslie Gabay-Swanson. I'm the Director of Program and Systems Quality here at the National Summer Learning Association. Just a quick overview of our webinar today. I'm going to share a little bit about NSLA for those of you who are unfamiliar. Then we'll hear from our panelists. I'll tell you a little bit about a new competition that we're having. Then we'll have time for questions and answers from to our panelists and wrap up with a few announcements. As I mentioned before, as we're going along, if you have any questions for our experts on our panel, please type them into the Q&A box. We'll try to catch them if you put them in the chat box, but it's a little bit harder to keep track of those. So if you would like your question answered during the webinar, please type it into the Q&A box. So a little bit about NSLA. The National Summer Learning Association is the only national nonprofit exclusively focused on addressing the achievement gap by increasing access to high-quality summer learning opportunities. NSLA's goal is to increase nationwide the number of high-quality summer learning programs. To achieve this goal, NSLA recognizes and disseminates what works, offers expertise and support for programs and communities, and advocates for summer learning as a solution for equity and excellence in education. NSLA's work is driven by the belief that all children and youth deserve high-quality summer learning experiences that will help them succeed in college, career, and life. Core to our work is the recognition that high-quality summer learning works. High-quality summer learning programs have been shown to improve reading and math skills, school attachment, motivation, and relationships with adults and peers. So why do we believe so strongly in summer? We know that summer is a time of great inequity for young people, and we believe that promoting and supporting summer opportunities is a way to address this. This goes beyond the summer learning that's in our name. We also want to see programs and communities addressing things like access to other resources like meals and youth jobs. Summer is a time for innovation and exploration. Without some of the constraints of the school year, kids are able to try different ways of learning and interact with other adults and peers that they might not otherwise. It is also a time for innovation for adults, whether there's opportunities for professional development, new teaching methods, or exploring new partnerships. I'm pleased to be joined today by some of our program partners from around the country who will share their experience working on climate change and environmental related projects. First up is Mike Trickler from the San Diego Unified School District. So I will hand things over to Mike.
Okay, well, thank you, Leslie. So I'm happy to be here. As Leslie said, my name is Mike Trickler. I work in the San Diego Unified School District. I teach engineering at Madison High School, but I also have a background in international development, working specifically in climate change adaptation. And hey, Leslie, how do I, okay, here we go. Never mind. It just is a little delayed. Okay, so my background. When I finished up university, I joined the Peace Corps. I was a teacher for 4 years in Pemba Island, Zanzibar, in Tanzania. During that time, I co-founded a nonprofit called Community Forest Pemba. And that nonprofit originally was focused on tree planting and afforestation efforts, but we've since expanded out into a variety of climate change adaptation strategies. I managed to work my way out of a job by training up our local team members. So I moved back to San Diego, where I'm originally from, and just started teaching environmental engineering here at the beginning of this school year. So just a little background on where Pemba is. It's located in East Africa in Tanzania, and it's one island off of the East Coast. It's around 20 miles wide by 60 miles long, And all of those little communities that you can see there named are areas where we worked and still work. So I want to just go over a little bit on the value of interactive education. This is from my Peace Corps days teaching science at a school where we had limited resources. These are students learning about the principle of moments. And I also want to plug a really good resource for conducting interactive lessons using just common household items. They've got a variety of topics around chemistry, biology, physics. It's available online. It's known as Shikanom Kono, which roughly translates to hand in hand. This is just one example of how to make a microscope out of simple materials from that book. Now on to my work in the nonprofit sector in community forest with Community Forest Pemba and Community Forest International. This is just a little background. I don't want to get too heavy into the reads on temperature rise between the mid-70s to the mid-2000s. You can roughly see there's been a general increase in temperature between those decades. Additionally, we have a wider variability of rainfall. We have higher wind speeds. And we've also seen a rise in the level of water there. So this is just a map of Pemba showing the areas that are below 5 meters, which is roughly the projected sea level rise if all of the glaciers end up melting. So given that background, what can we do as members of the community, as educators? Within my work back in Pemba, we focused on afforestation and agroforestry. Now, agroforestry, if you're not familiar, is basically mixing cash crops with perennials, with trees. The trees help to conserve the nutrients within the soil, and the cash crops basically give you an income annually. So here's one example of mixing cash crops with perennial trees. Here's some more. We're mixing that there, I believe, is a cashew nut tree, and those are cassava plants. Here's some more from our nurseries. These are all known as casuarinas. We planted these throughout the island. And again, you know, the focus here is on youth education. These are the individuals that are going to have to really deal with these issues moving forward. We also looked into rainwater harvesting to provide fresh water around the year for community members. So this is just one of the tanks. It can hold around 50,000 liters. And the community members have access to this water. It's filtered through micron filters, UV filters, and pumped up to a raised tank. We also tried to promote alternative cooking fuel resources. Firewood is the common resource. This is actually charcoal briquettes that are made out of sawdust waste material. We promoted improved cooking stoves, which reduces the amount of charcoal and wood that they have to use. We promote permaculture. And this is one that I'm going to touch on at the end that we can bring back to our students here in the US. This is just simple composting, teaching community members how to do that around their house. We were involved with promoting sustainable beekeeping. Here is some harvesting of the honey using simple press. These are actually stingless bees that we also introduced in Pemba. Renewable energy was another large-scale project that we worked on throughout communities. We provided them with batteries that could be recharged at a central charging station, a light bulb, and the ability to charge cell phones. When the battery drains after about a week, they go back to the central charging station, pay a small fee into the community fund, and take their batteries back to continue to use for the next week. Here's some of the lights being distributed, and there I am doing some installation within a community center of solar energy. We also looked at promoting spice forestry. Zanzibar is known for its spices, particularly cloves and cinnamon, but we've also helped to introduce vanilla, which is worth almost as much as gold right now, actually. And here we have a spice forest demo site that we set up at our campus. That there is our executive director, Mbruk, and that is a cinnamon tree that he's planting. We also helped to introduce drone mapping within the communities to be able to map our forests at a higher resolution than we can get through Google Earth. And now what have I been able to bring back here, and what can you guys introduce with your students? This here is a school garden that we've set up, and we recently introduced a hydroponic system. So this is just a simple solar panel installed on top of a shed. You can see our garden area in the background there. And the students installed the solar panel themselves. I worked with them to make sure the wiring was all correct. We have inside on the right there, you can see we have a charge controller, a simple battery, and we have a timer that turns the pump on and off. And this here is on the left is our hydroponic system that we're starting with. But we have a huge area that we're going to be expanding into. I'm looking at continuing this, this project over the summer with students. It's very low input. You know, those materials for the PVC pipe, the growing material is extremely cheap. I think the whole setup was under $200, including the panel. And now I basically am out looking for, you know, inexpensive PVC pipe, some PVC pipe that people may be throwing out, and we're going to be expanding this out to include all of this garden area. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions when the Q&A opens up, and I will leave it for Leslie to move on.
Great, thank you, Mike. Next, we're going to hear from Christine Tomlinson. Christine, I'm handing you the control now.
Great, thank you so much, Leslie. It was great hearing from you, Mike. So my name is Christine Tomlinson, and I am the Youth Programs Manager at Wilderness Inquiry. It's a nonprofit based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I specifically work on our Canoe Mobile program, which is focused specifically on engaging more people, specifically youth, to introduce them to their local waterways as well as outdoor spaces. Today, I'll tell you a little bit about how we're doing that, a little bit of background about Wilderness Inquiry, and kind of what we've found with and the importance of this introductory experience and how that helps kids develop a lasting relationship with their environment. All right, I think I am able to control this. Oh, there we go. Okay, oops. So Wilderness Inquiry's mission is to connect people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities to the natural world and each other through shared outdoor adventures. WI has been around for over 40 years with this mission. Our participants, come from all over the world with thousands of unique stories and experiences. And when we began, we were founded on making the wilderness more accessible for people with disabilities. But now we've realized that we have to expand this idea and definition of accessibility, not only to people who may need additional support, but also to youth who don't have access to the outdoors. This notion of outdoor access is gaining more and more traction in the outdoor industry, in education, and policy, and is really what continues to enforce the importance of our program we call Canoe Mobile. So Canoe Mobile is like I said before, Wilderness Inquiry's youth-specific program. We've seen youth engagement in the outdoors is historically low, and unfortunately, these trends are just continuing to worsen. This program was developed to address those trends, and in 2008, the program took its first paddle on the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, and now has grown to serve over 30,000 youth across the country. Like I mentioned, Canoe Mobile, operates across the country, and it is, I might be biased in saying this, but it's one of the most unique programs I know of because of the way it combines education, outdoor recreation, and community engagement in just a 3 to 6 hour field trip. Our traveling rigs of these 6 24-foot Voyager canoes that each fit 10 people quickly distinguish Canoe Mobile from other outdoor programs. And on a typical day, organizations from across the community, from the federal level to the local nonprofits, gather together to provide this outdoor learning experience that's specific to their community. What Canoe Mobile does is helps kind of create that foundation and place for everyone to gather together to bring the community's youth together to learn what these educators think are important in protecting this waterway, or about climate change or the water quality history of this place. So Canoe Mobile kind of is that vehicle to do that. And Leslie, I think having trouble clicking through the slides. But I'll just keep talking at you. Oh, here we go. Cool. So this combination of an outdoor activity and learning and place-based education makes for a really impactful but really fun experience. And fun is important for everyone, but when Canoe Mobile participants come to our program, 80% of these people, these kids, it's their first outdoor experience. So we feel it's even more important that they leave with a positive memory. I don't know if I can think of something that I continue to do today as an adult where I didn't have a first or second positive memory. Maybe you can, but I feel like majority of us, aren't doing something that we didn't have a good positive experience as a kid doing. And so, Canoe Mobile addresses this critical first step in increasing engagement in the outdoors, what we call the introduction. And, if our goal is to help our next generation take these, really big ideas like climate change seriously, I think it's really hard to expect them to care deeply enough to either change their behavior or educate others if they don't have that positive experience to refer to or reason to change. So I think, what I really want to portray is not necessarily how Canoe Mobile is addressing this idea of climate change, but we are addressing this, first introductory step into the outdoors, into this place that, we all care deeply about, and we want our kids, our students, our nation's youth to also care about. And so, I would encourage everyone to, think through that, think about that first step, as well as, what you all are working on, which is also very important. Canoe Mobile, like I mentioned, does operate nationally, but right now we are heavily based in Minnesota over the summer. We're, always expanding, which is very exciting. But our stints nationally are usually happening in the spring months, May through June, and in the fall months, which fall, September through November. We kind of follow the warm weather. So I'd love to, answer any questions and talk more for those interested, but that is all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Finally, we're going to hear from Rachel Francois from the California Academy of Science and Sciences, who introduced to the Science Action Club and some resources you can use this summer for your work.
Great. Hello, everyone. This is Rachel Van Scoik from the Science Action Club and the California Academy of Sciences. I heard a little feedback just there, so please chat on over if you hear any from my end, and I will be happy to adjust my settings. So Science Action Club is a program that's based out of the California Academy of Sciences. We are a museum that is based in San Francisco, right in Golden Gate Park. We're about to celebrate our 150th anniversary here at the park, which is pretty exciting. Leslie, if you could help me navigate to the first slide in my slide deck, that would be great. It looks like we advanced a few ahead. But to share a little bit more about the California Academy of Sciences, we have, right there, thank you. We have 1.6 million visitors each year. The Academy is an aquarium, a rainforest, a planetarium, a natural history museum, and we're all under a living roof, which you can see in the picture on the slide here. And our overall mission is to explore, explain, and sustain life. What's really exciting about the Academy is not only are we a museum, but we are also a research institution. We have about 200 scientists that work here at the Academy to provide insight and research all about sustainability and climate change around the world. Within that research team, we have a citizen science team that shares their expertise and inspiration with projects like iNaturalist and City Nature Challenge. And I bring up this citizen science team because that really is the crux and the impact of Science Action Club. So we work really closely with that citizen science and research team to develop our materials. So what is Science Action Club? Leslie, if you could help me navigate to the next slide. Oh, there we go, thank you. So Science Action Club is a content provider. We are a program that runs all across North America in out-of-school time programs. So we are in after-school programs, we are in summer learning environments, we're in outdoor spaces, and our program is designed for middle school, and it uses citizen science as a tool to address STEM learning goals and inspire a new generation of environmental stewards. In particular, SAC really works to address the lack of high-quality STEM education that's provided in out-of-school spaces, which we know really disproportionately affects students in under-resourced communities and has really the deepest impact during those critical summer months and that important time frame. Through the games, the projects, and the hands-on nature investigation that SAC provides, we help develop and support STEM identity. We help support the natural intellectual curiosity that youth have and really help them carry out environmental action. We're excited to partner with summer camps and schools, museums, community organizations all across the country and more to engage youth in these meaningful scientific exploration and discovery experiences in their own local communities. Science Action Club provides quality professional development, that kit of materials, and a really exciting youth experience that connects them to a citizen science project. So as you can see on this slide, we have our 3 units, Bird Scouts, Bug Safari, and Cloud Quest. And each of those is linked to a unique citizen science project that's also listed here. So you might be asking, why citizen science? And what is citizen science even? In a nutshell, citizen science is a global movement. It connects scientists and the general public so that they can collaborate to answer some of the most pressing questions about our planet. As we know, many big scientific questions like climate change and its impact require more data than one scientist or even a group of scientists or a group of overworked grad students can really collect in their individual time. So in Science Action Club, youth learn the citizen science protocol that field scientists are using. They're using the tools in these clubs that real scientists are using as well to collect data. And this unique connection to citizen science within Science Action Club creates a really lasting, impactful experience for participants. A little bit about what Christine was saying, how that fun, positive experience that we have with youth carries over into adulthood. That's what we're trying to cultivate and create with Science Action Club and our connections to citizen science. Citizen science is also called community science, and it allows projects to provide an important opportunity for the educators and the facilitators of these programs to bridge STEM learning to real-world topics in their program. To dive a little bit deeper, I wanted to highlight CloudQuest today. In that program, youth collaborate with NASA and Globe Observer, which is a database of observations. CloudQuest is an opportunity for them to connect their learning about clouds to climate. So this is a really exciting opportunity for summer learning to dive deeper into climate change and to learn a lot more about that during their programs. Diving into Globe Observer, the platform that they're using within CloudQuest, Globe is an international network of scientists and students working together to see how clouds affect Earth's environment. So by observing the sky from where we're at and reporting that data, we can help NASA and their researchers track changes in the sky and cloud conditions. As we all know, cloud conditions can change so rapidly, so it really helps scientists to get these frequent observations from citizen scientists to understand the Earth's surface. In a nutshell, Youth in Science Action Club help validate and calibrate data for NASA during their time on CloudQuest. So what does Globe look like in action with Science Action Club? On this slide, you can see some youth in the program doing some of the activities with some big smiles on their faces. Each of the sessions of CloudQuest begin with a citizen science observation that we call Sky Survey. Youth will get into teams. Collaboration is important in science. We provide materials for them to collect the data. So they have these real scientific instruments to collect the data. The youth collect the information in these teams, and then they come together as a bigger group. The whole after-school program will come with their observations, and they need to come to a consensus and decide what their observations mean together, because as a giant club, they will then submit to Globe Observer. So they're collecting data in these teams, and they're coming together on consensus. During the final session of their program, they analyze their data, and they share out their findings as well. So Leslie, if we could toggle over really quickly to video, I'll be able to show one of these sky surveys in action that we are actually able to do recently.
Okay, so if you go ahead and turn your video on. I will.
Okay.
Okay, we should be able to see you now.
Excellent. Well, in Sky Survey, one of the exciting things that they can do is use various tools to collect information about clouds. So one of the first ones is this Sky Survey chart that gives them lots of cool information about what clouds look like, what the sky conditions are like, so that they can learn more on how to collect data. The other tool that they use during Sky Survey is this color strip. So they'll hold it up to the sky and decide which color this sky would be that day, which is another important information for them to collect for their observations and to submit to Globe. And then the last tool they use during Sky Survey is this grid. It's a clear grid that they'll hold up to the sky, and they can calculate the percentage of the sky that's covered by clouds. They then go back to that chart that I showed at the beginning, and they're able to determine which clouds they're seeing there. Me and my team did this yesterday on that living roof that you saw in slide number 1, and we were able to collect observations and submit to Globe Observer yesterday. I'll show right here the chart and the sticker that we were able to fill out to show conditions at low level, mid-level, and high level, as well as the sky color from that sky color chart and the percentage of the sky that's covered. So for example, to pull some data off of this as an example, in the mid-sky, we saw altocumulus clouds at 50 to 90% coverage of the sky at that range, which is considered a broken cloud pattern. So we recorded all of this in our Science Action Club notebook right here that each of the youth get when they're in Science Action Club. So I'll go ahead and stop my video and toggle back to the last 2 or 3 slides that I have. Science Action Club is a really exciting program, and it really encourages these youth to feel like scientists and have a place in science. But why do we think SAC is successful in the summertime? Leslie, if you could help me navigate to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. So SAC in summertime, we've had a lot of partners working there, and they really see the excitement and the impact of it during that time. We all know that SAC is a pivotal time to engage youth in STEM learning, to capitalize on their natural curiosity and keep their skills sharp during these critical months. And SAC, we really try to address the lack of STEM education and professional development that often happens in out of school time, which often impacts groups and communities and youth in underserved and under-resourced areas, which is really felt most deeply during the summer months. Another exciting opportunity during summer is that the pressures of the school day are relieved. So there's a lot of ability to explore more, to help youth get outdoors. Like Mike was saying, that impact is really helpful with that experiential learning when you are using your hands in the outdoor environments. And it really connects them to the outdoors and connects them to the climate impacts within their own environment. Another impact of Science Action Club is that we can be run at any time, anywhere. So from our evaluation results from last year, we discovered that we were in 40% of our clubs were in rural communities and 60% were in urban as well. So we really like to show that Science Action Club is something that can be run anywhere, and those observations can be collected anywhere from rural Alaska to mid-down Manhattan. We've had clubs be successful observing clouds, seeing bugs, seeing birds in that environment. So this is some of our results. This is you can see some screenshots here of the training options that we have. When I say that we can be run anytime, anywhere, this is because our online training is an opportunity that's available to all the Science Action Clubs out there. So here are some exciting screenshots from that. We also have opportunities to provide in-person trainings. We really want to tailor and work with our various partners. And I'll just leave you with this. There's many different ways to learn more about Science Action Club or connect with us. I have our program page listed here as well as our email, and I am excited to answer questions or have conversations with folks that are interested. So thank you, everyone. Again, this is Rachel with Science Action Club. I'll toggle it back to Leslie now.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Like I said, we will now have some time for questions and answers for our panelists. We were inspired by our friends in San Diego, the San Diego School District there, who are currently holding their own competition. So this summer, NSLA will be holding a national student climate change video competition to encourage students to take action this summer. So we're asking students to submit a 1-minute video showing us how they will how they're acting to limit the impacts of climate change and influence others to take action. So we want to see what your students are working on and learning about this summer. Videos will be accepted at the end of the summer, and more details will be shared soon. But at this time, we just want to let you know so you can start thinking about how you can help support your students in entering the contest. If you have any questions for them, please go ahead and type those into the Q&A box. Just to get us started, and this is for any of our 3 panels, what are some of the things that you take into considering when deciding which topics to cover with your students, or what to include in the curriculum as you're building it, or the different resources as you're building it?
I'm happy to jump in on this. Again, this is Rachel with Science Action Club. I mentioned at the beginning of my talk that we have research scientists here at the California Academy of Scientists, including a citizen science team. So we really wanted to tap into the expertise that we have here at our museum. iNaturalist is another citizen science project that is paired with our bug safari unit. So in that one, much like the Sky Survey with CloudQuest, you're able to go outside and look for arthropods using real entomological tools. iNaturalist, the citizen science platform, was something that was developed here at the Academy. So we were really excited to partner and leverage the expertise that was already here to develop those. So that was some of our thinking behind that, and really tapping into the global citizen science community and the projects that have already been developed.
Thank you.
I'll jump in a little too. I was kind of talking about this during my little session, but Canoemobile isn't necessarily, leading every activity. We're looking to our, community partners and leaders to kind of share what they find most important to talk about in their community related to the waterway in place. So some of those activities are, specific to the water quality, pollinators. Maybe we're bringing out furs so that we can talk about other things and animals and bugs that are using this waterway besides, just us. And so not, a direct answer like Rachel had, but just a little insight on the Canoemobile program.
Great. As you're going through and you're working with the students, what are some of the barriers that you've come across in trying to get students interested in the environment or in climate change, or really getting more deeply involved?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. For me, the biggest part of my job is building that relationship with the students. So like I said, I've only been back in San Diego for, working in the district the last 6 months or so. And it's really just getting them to understand where you're coming from, have the trust of the students, and then allowing them to kind of see the bigger picture of how it's applicable to them, not just in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, in the community, in the city, nationally, and, also at the global scale.
Thank you. So we do have a question first from Nella. She said, I work to offer out-of-school time programming for school-age youth. The youth development staff are primarily responsible for overseeing our enrichment instruction. What resources are any of you aware of that can adequately prepare youth development staff to facilitate quality instruction on a topic they have little to no experience in? This is something very common to see in summer. We have new staff that might not necessarily be experts in the topic, but they are eager to learn and instruct.
I'd love to answer this. This is Rachel, and this is something that we're keenly aware of. And I'm sure we can all think of experiences that we've had when we've had a really excited and engaged facilitator, and how much more wonderful that experience is to anchor our learning and to feel empowered in STEM. Within Science Action Club, we really want to provide an exciting experience for the youth, but we also know that's so contingent on the comfort and the competence of the person facilitating. Within the Science Action Club online training, as well as our other training opportunities, we do provide really robust professional development for those frontline staff and the youth development staff to feel comfortable facilitating STEM, facilitating the topic of the unit, as well as teaching the lessons within Science Action Club. So what that looks like is we spend quite a bit of time in our trainings going over what we call our teaching toolbox. And these are strategies for them to facilitate STEM with their activities. It's not specific to Science Action Club because we really want to build up and professionalize the space and have these frontline staff that are teaching these activities feel empowered, excited, and translate that excitement to their youth. So for example, one of the strategies that we teach in the teaching toolbox is asking higher order questions. So this is really just a strategy where we're saying, don't stop by asking yes or no questions. Continue the conversation by asking these big higher order questions that really excite the youth and get them to think about the topics a little bit more deeply. Outside of that, we also spend some time in our trainings going over the ins and outs of the particular topic. So if it's bird scouts, they're learning about feathers and basic bird morphology before they're actually diving into the units and getting comfortable about the units. So Nella, thank you for that question. It's a really important one, and it's something that we think a lot about at Science Action Club. And I know it's on the front of the mind for a lot of our partners in the industry as well.
Right, thank you. That's definitely something that I think we at NSLA encourage as a best practice of supporting that higher order thinking with students. So as a follow-up to it, Nella also mentioned, I'd love to see the additional interactive education resources as well. So I think that's kind of goes along with the teaching box that you mentioned, Rachel.
Yes, yeah, we definitely design our online training as well as our in-person trainings to be fun, to be interactive, and to really facilitate a professional development community and cohort. So that might be just at your organization, or it might be across organizations, but also facilitating peer-to-peer learning. If you follow up on the program page in the slide I included, or our email at scienceactionclub@calacademy.org, I'm happy to share some information and talk about more resources.
Great, thank you. And we can definitely include some links, like just put one in the chat box for everybody. We can include some of these links in a follow-up email that will go out to everyone as well. So if you had any final questions for our panel, go ahead and type that in. I'm not seeing any additional questions. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to say thank you again to our panel. If anything would like to say, just one final thought, share any final thoughts as people are getting ready to, I know a lot of you are getting ready, working on starting to plan for the summer. If our panelists wanted to share a final thought with our audience. We could start with Christine.
I just will say thank you to the folks presenting, but also thank you to everyone listening in and your great work and continued work. Have a wonderful summer.
Thanks you. Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in on this roundtable. I'm hoping that some of the topics that I covered, although were directly applied in Tanzania, you guys could see about potentially adapting with your students here. If any of you want any additional info, feel free to reach out to me. My email is jtrichler@sandy.net. I'd be happy to share any additional info. I've got a few things around some of the work that we did with plans and whatnot. Yeah, but thanks everyone. I appreciate it. Enjoy the summer.
Great, thank you. Rachel?
Yeah, it sounds like from all of our panelists, from Mike and Christine's talk, that this should really be the summer of getting youth outdoors and using some hands-on activities. So I hope that this is the first step in many conversations I have about Science Action Club and really having a great summer of STEM engagement. I'll go ahead and chat some contact information into the chat box and follow up afterwards. Thank you, Leslie, so much for facilitating.
Right. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Mike and Christine as well. Just a few announcements to wrap us up. The first is that we are launching a climate change leadership newsletter. So this newsletter will highlight resources, opportunities, events, and other information relevant to the summer programs, striving to support young people in building knowledge and awareness about the effects of climate change, the importance of environmental stewardship, and what they can do to have an impact on their community. So the first issue will be sent out this week, and it will be sent to everybody who registered for this webinar. National Summer Learning Week is this year is July 6th through the 11th. This is a day of advocacy and bringing awareness to the importance of summer, so we encourage everybody to participate. There's more information on the Summer Learning Day page of our website. We also want to hear about any events that you have planned or your program this summer, so you can add that to the event tracker on our website. And finally, our national conference will be this year in Washington, D.C., November 16th to the 18th. Registration is up and open on our website, and more information will be coming soon about pre-conference sessions and speakers. Finally, if you're not following us on social media, please be sure to do that to keep updated on the latest events and resources that we are coming out with, especially going into the summer. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. We will be in touch with some follow-up information and more links and resources that you can use. Have a great day.